At the start of the movie, we see Professor Hyder sitting in his car, looking at a picture of 3 dogs all connected together. Just then, a truck pulls up, and the driver gets out to head into the woods to take a leak. That's when Professor Hyder sneaks up behind him, aiming his gun at him. Then the scene switches, and we meet 2 girls. One's name is Jenny and the other's name is Lindsay. They're in Germany to have some fun and are going to a party. Lindsay was trying to get the location on her phone because both of them were new around here and didn't know anything about Germany. So, they rented a car and headed out for a party at night. They ended up wandering pretty far through the woods and lost their way. Suddenly, they got a flat tire. That's when Lindsay called the roadside assistance, but there was no signal in the woods, and they found themselves stuck in a place where there was no one around for miles. They decide that they should stay in the car and ask passing drivers for help. After a while, a car drives by, and they ask for help. Inside the car is an old man who starts making strange gestures at them, which freaks them out, so they lock the car from the inside. The car drives away, and then they get out and start looking for a house nearby to call someone for help. After walking a bit, they see lights coming from a house. They see a light, so they start heading towards the house. Just then, it starts to rain and they both get pretty soaked. Once they reach the house, they knock on the door, and Professor Hyder opens it. They tell him about their problems, and seeing that they're alone, he invites them in. Inside, there are some strange paintings that make them a bit uneasy. Then, Professor Hyder asks if they're travelers, and they say they're from New York and they have come to visit Germany. At the same time, they ask the professor to call the car repair guys. But the professor ignores them and asks if they're related. They say, "No, we're just friends." Then the professor gets up and heads to the kitchen to get them some water, but he also pretends to call the car repair guys so they don't get suspicious. While he's at it, he slips some drugs into their glasses and tells them to drink up. When he gives it to her, Lindsay drinks all the water, but the glass slips from Jenny's hand, and seeing that, the professor starts yelling at her. He goes to the basement to get a towel to clean up the water, and while he's down there, he starts filling a syringe. Meanwhile, Lindsay slowly starts to pass out because the drugs are kicking in. Then Jenny asks the professor to call again, but he refuses and immediately injects Jenny in the neck, knocking her out too. After that, when Jenny and Lindsay regain consciousness, both of them find themselves tied up in the professor's lab, and there's also a guy tied up there who happens to be the driver of the truck. Just then, Professor Hyder shows up and tells the truck driver that he doesn't match the criteria, so it's time for him to die. Saying that, he injects the driver with a poison, and just like that, the guy drops dead right there. After that, the professor buries the dead body in his garden, and then we see that he brings another person unconscious to his lab and he lets him sleep in the bed next to both of them. After that, the professor comes in wearing a lab coat and introduces himself as Professor Hyder. A surgeon with a pretty bizarre profession, he connects living things together. Recently, he had done surgery to join 3 dogs together, and now he wanted to perform the same kind of operation on these 3 because their skin tissues matched. Then he starts explaining the surgery to them. It seems like the first thing he's going to do is take out their knee ligaments so they can never stand up again. Then he'll cut off the mouths of subject B and C, attaching subject B to A and subject C to B. After that, he'll peel off the skin from their hips and jaws and use that to connect them all together. It'll be like a human centipede. When subject A eats the food, which will then turn into waste and go into subject B's mouth, then from B to subject C's mouth. Obviously, this is going to be a really disgusting thing for this crazy doctor to do. He was about to do this experiment on humans for the first time. First, he injects a guy to knock him out, then he goes over to Jenny to give her the shot. Just then, Lindsay manages to free herself from the ropes with her teeth and starts to run away. She rushes into a room and locks the door, but the doctor breaks in through the window. Lindsay escapes from there too, but she falls into the swimming pool. At that moment, the psycho doctor shows up there as well, and he covers the whole pool. But then suddenly the lights go out, and taking advantage of that, Lindsay starts to run away. She rushes into the doctor's lab and unties the Jenny, who had passed out from the injection. She somehow drags Jenny outside, but then the doctor sneaks up and gives Lindsay the same injection, knocking her out too. He then takes both of them back into the lab and starts the operation. After that, the doctor successfully completes the surgery. A few days later, we see that the doctor's human centipede is ready, but the wounds of those 3 had not healed yet. But the doctor was forcing the 3 of them to stand. The guy was in front, Lindsay was in the middle, and Jenny was at the back. They were in a lot of pain, but the doctor started taking pictures of them while they were standing. Then he showed them their reflection in a mirror, and when they saw themselves like that, they started crying a lot. After that, he put them in a cage and treated them like animals, even feeding them like animals. Then we see the doctor taking them outside to the ground. Then the man feels like going to the toilet, and all his poop ends up in Lindsay's mouth, which she has to swallow, and it looks really gross. Then one day, the doctor checks him out and finds out he's perfectly fine, but Lindsay has a problem because she can't digest his poop. Meanwhile, Jenny, who hasn't eaten anything, is getting weaker and looks like she might die. Just when the doctor was thinking about switching Jenny's place, someone knocks on the door, and there are police officers there. They've come looking for Jenny and Lindsay, who have been missing for a while, and their car was found not far from the doctor's house. The doctor tells them that he's really busy with work and doesn't have time to go out, and he doesn't know anything about the girls. Then, the doctor goes to the kitchen to get water for the cops and mixes drugs into it before giving it to them. One of the officers then tells him that someone hears the voices of those missing girls coming from your house, and after hearing this, doctor starts shouting loudly, telling them to drink some water, but they just throw the glass at him. Then he makes up an excuse about needing a towel and goes down to the basement to get that knockout injection so he can put them to sleep. But this time, he gets caught right in front of the cops. He tries to defend himself by saying they can't accuse anyone without a warrant, so the cops leave to get one. After that, the doctor rushes to his lab, but he cannot see his human centipede. Suddenly, that guy attacks him with a knife, and he falls down, unconscious. Then the three of them try to go up the stairs and somehow make it. Just then, the doctor regains consciousness and starts chasing them. That guy starts breaking the window, and by the time the doctor gets there, he cuts his own throat with the broken glass and dies. Meanwhile, the cops arrive again, but they don't see anyone, so they come inside and start searching the house separately. As they start searching, one of the officers runs into the three of them. Hearing gunfire, he runs to find his partner, only to see that his partner is already dead. In that moment, the doctor shoots another cop with the same gun, and in retaliation, that officer takes out the doctor too. They both end up dead, and apart from the human centipede created by the doctor, no one survives there. And with this, the movie ends here.